The realm of the Fireside Tales is an ever-expanding one, filled with endless mysteries, and it seems as soon as we solve one of them, 1,000 more crop into its place. Perhaps one of the greatest we've encountered is that of the Wickersaw. The Wickersaw, isn't really so much a story as it is a description of one of the true oddities of this universe. The original file came from Josh Mooney, a researcher here during the 1950s, who gave us the most complete analysis of this beast. I will be drawing all of my sources from him, and actually speaking this whole tale in his words, so I just wanted to give credit to where it was due. His file starts thus. The Wickersaw is neither a being of the man in black, the man in gray, the man in white, or any of the 4 other beings that could rule this universe. It is neither male nor female, and, as far as I can tell, it has no thought process, and no moral standpoint, although some philosophers might debate me on this subject. It can think, but it thinks by its nature. It does whatever it is in its nature to do. The only true original source I can find for its existence is that it might be a creature that simply decided to exist one day, and that was all the reason it needed to exist. There have been many files found of it in the outer regions before this Earth was formed, and there is even some evidence of it existing before the universe actually existed. There is also evidence of it throughout mankind's history. In the Stone Age, we find paintings of it. In the Egyptian Age, we find hieroglyphs about it. And in the modern age, traces of it can be found as well, in literature and in manuscripts. The creature in its true form is thin and small. It has large plate-like eyes and a rocky skin, and long greasy black hair that falls to its shoulder. It is completely indestructible. It cannot be destroyed by any element on Earth or out there in the universe, and even its hair cannot be removed in any way. The creature does not need to eat or sleep, and it does not need to drink. I've actually saw it myself chewing on lettuce, although what purpose this serves is beyond my reasoning. The creature itself's main function is to take power from other organisms. For instance, if it were to take the legs off a cheetah, it would become as fast as a cheetah. It would just put it on itself and would gain its legs. If it wanted to take the eyes of an eagle, it would take them, and it would see as well as an eagle. And if it were to take the mind of a man, it would become as smart as a man, although it wouldn't actually use this intelligence. This is where things get a little bit tragic, as the creature, well, it takes a lot from the mind of man, since man is one of the smartest organisms on planet Earth, and so it's constantly hunting for it. I should mention here that the creature, when it is removing these body parts, does not seem to want to cause any actual pain to the being. When it takes off the legs of the cheetah, it does it in a way that causes the least harm, and once it gets the legs, it will do nothing else to the cheetah. It can just leave it there in agony, although I'm sure it doesn't view it like that. It will also do its best to take the mind from a man in a painless way. It has been found to do autopsies on human beings, and will try to make the removal as painless as possible. I should stress, I do not believe the Wickersaw does this by any thought process. I think it's just simply part of its nature. Now, the creature itself has been known to take down beings that are way stronger and more powerful than it. I once saw it fighting a giant squid out in the ocean during a stormy night. The two of them were fighting each other and wrestling, and I thought for sure that finally the Wickersaw would be beaten. But finally, the Wickersaw dragged it down to the ocean, and both of them were underwater, and I couldn't see what was happening. But finally I noticed the Wickersaw's head pop out, and a tentacle in its mouth, and I realized it had gotten this creature's power as well. I have found evidence of this being hunting down organisms for years at a time. It will never stop hunting once it captures an organism's scent, and if it believes it has powers that it's interested in. The only way I can see stopping it is that if, 1, the creature dies, or 2, another organism comes along that's even more powerful than the one it's hunting. Once it has received all of the body parts that it wants and has become as powerful as it wants, it never uses these abilities. It will find a barn or a cave or some other place, and sit down and just stare out into space, for hours at a time. Occasionally I have witnessed it getting up and walking around for a few moments, but then it will simply just sit back down again and stare out into space. I have heard witnesses say that they saw it once feeding birdseed to some birds during the winter, though whether that is true or not, I do not know. I will also say that one time when I was hunked down with the creature, I felt certain that it threw a blanket over my body, although when I woke up the next morning the blanket wasn't there, and I have taken this to be a dream. The creature itself does not seem to be able to be contained by any natural means. It can send out earthquakes and volcanoes, or anything else that could capture it in that way, underneath the earth or underneath the sea. However, it is possible for an intelligent organism to capture the creature. I once found evidence of a Chinese emperor, whose name has sadly been lost from the record, who was able to contain the beast for 40 years. During this time, he tried to find out how to get the creature's ability. However, they were able to find nothing. All they could tell was that by some sponge-like substance, the Wickersaw was able to take these body parts. The creature remained in its custody until finally security became lapse on it, and one day one of the guards was sitting down and he had the keys by his belt, and the Wickersaw came forward and grabbed hold of the keys faster than the man could think. It unlocked its door and knocked out both of the guards and was able to escape from the palace. I believe myself personally, although I have no evidence of this, that the creature, if there is even one way for it to escape, will find that way and be able to escape. However, if there is no way, it will simply sit there and be uninterested, showing no harm or no vengeance towards its captures, and actually having no interest in vengeance at all. Now, as I believe the U.S. government is going to attempt to contain this creature in the years following, I would like to give them a warning. If you get this creature, do not remove the body parts from its structure. Once the body parts are removed, it will go after the closest thing with any power nearby, and take it to sustain itself for a while. Again, this is not a matter of revenge for the creature, it is simply that it is of its nature. And I would strongly suggest keeping any child away, or any creature such as that. Once, it will not differentiate between child, or a male, or adult, or female. It doesn't care about these things. All it cares about is getting power, and once it attains it, it will go after more power until it becomes the most powerful creature on Earth. In concluding about this being, I admit that there's several mysteries left. We don't really know what the Wickersaw is, and it seems to defy all explanation, even those that might be given by the man in gray. I can only state that the Wickersaw has been here, and will be here long after we have died. It is a being that will haunt this universe at the end of time and after the end. And that is all we have of it. I'm sorry that I can't give you any more direct answers than that, but let me just say that if you are a very powerful human being, if you're very smart, if you're very wise, watch out for this creature, for once it finds you, it will not stop hunting you. It will hunt you for the remainder of your life, until it gets what it desires. Well, I suppose there must be some lesson in there somewhere, and maybe you can find it, for I sure as hell cannot.